Hey guys, what is up? It has been a really long time since I've done a live stream on my personal, or actually my business page. This is my business page, I think. Yes. Anyway, I'm doing one finally because I'm trying to get more into videos again, and yeah, so just jump right in, right? Okay, cool. So today I wanted to tell you the story of how I manifested $2,500 cash in 3 hours. So this was pretty crazy, and it's not something that I've commonly done, but when I needed it, and it's sort of one of those things where it's like you're sort of in a space where you know you have to pay for something, you have to take care of something, and so I just figured out how to make it happen, and now I use that same process over and over again for other things that I desire, not just money. And so I wanted to just share the story because I hope that it will inspire you to see that it can be easy to have the things that you desire. You just have to be willing to do the work and willing to ignore the reality that you see out here and actually just trust that if you just do the work and you take the actions and believe that it will happen. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is pretty practical, I would think. Some of it is a little woo-woo, but for the most part, I think it's pretty practical. I think it kind of has to be, because if you aren't doing practical stuff, then you're not actually taking any action. So, but yeah, I'm going to tell you the steps how I did this. And yeah, just hopefully, like I said, it will inspire you to know that you actually can have the things that you want. You just have to know how to get them. And then especially you just have to be willing to do stuff that most of the time, you know, people don't want to do, because it is scary and it is a little risky. And, you know, there's always that concern of like, oh my God, but what if it doesn't work and I do all this stuff? And so I hope that this shows you what's possible. Okay, so this story happened in December 2014, so it was a few years ago. I've used this process since then, but this was one of those times where this story stands out to me all the time when I think about manifestation and how I actually create the things that I want for my life. And so December 2014, you know, my husband and I, was right around Christmas time. So actually, I think it was after Christmas. So it was like a little after Christmas time. We had stayed in New York that year. So my family lives in New York. His lives in Texas. And so we stayed in New York for Christmas. We were planning on a trip to Texas at some point in early 2015. So January, February, maybe. We hadn't really figured it out yet. We hadn't set a date or anything. We hadn't saved any money or, you know, anything. It was sort of just like we had this idea that we were going to go at some point, but we just didn't know when really, and so we hadn't even really started to plan for it or anything like that. And so it was, I think, like a day or two before New Year's Eve, and we got this phone call in the morning, and we were told that his grandfather had passed away. Now, we knew his grandfather had been sick. We didn't know how sick, and we weren't sure how long he was going to last, but we thought he was going to be around for at least a few more months, and then that didn't happen. So we were in this predicament of like, okay, it's 2 days before New Year's. We have no money saved up. We have no idea how we're going to get down to Texas, but we just felt that we needed to be there for the funeral, that we really just needed to be there with his family. And so we were both sitting in bed that morning, like he was looking at his emails, looking at his text messages, and we were just like, okay, how are we going to do this? Like, how are we going to make this happen? And so we did step one, which is the very, very first step in any manifestation process. No matter what it is that you desire, whether it's money or something else, you have to decide. So decide means I'm doing this. So we made the decision right then and there that we were going to be in Texas for the funeral. Again, we had no idea how we were going to do this. We just had that we know we have to do this. So we made the decision. Now, the reason you have to decide is because decisions, when you make a decision about something, it cuts off all other possibilities. So you're not focusing on, oh, well, maybe we could do this instead or this instead. It's like, no, none of that stuff exists now. It's just, this is the decision that we've made. So that's always the first step in the process. So after that, it's ask. So ask the universe, obviously, for what you want. So in that moment, we were like, all right, we're going to be in Texas. We don't know how, but we're going to figure it out. And then I said out loud to the universe, I said, universe, we really want to be in Texas for the funeral. We have no idea how we're going to do this. So we're going to delegate to you to figure it out for us and bring us what we need to make it happen. And then this is the most important part. So first steps, decide and then ask. Those are pretty easy. I think most of us do that automatically without really having to work that hard at it, because we always are just asking for stuff, and whether it's stuff we're asking for out loud or in our heads, but we're always asking for stuff, and we always are thinking about the things we want and making decisions about the things that we want. So I would say that's pretty simple first 2 steps in the process. And step 3 is the hardest one, and I think it's the one that trips up people the most because it is sort of the scariest step, which is act as if. So once we made the decision we were going to be in Texas for the funeral, and we asked the universe to bring us the money or bring us the way to make that happen. So we didn't necessarily say bring us cash, but it was like bring us a way to make that happen. So maybe it could have been, cash that came through, or maybe it could have been something else, like someone sent us plane tickets, or, someone gave us a rental car or whatever. We had no idea what was going to happen. We just trusted that if we asked for it and made the decision that it was a done deal and then took action, which is the act as if, which I'm going to explain in a second, that it would happen. And that was it. We had it set. And so that's what you have to do. So once you've made your decision and you've asked for what you wanted, act as if. That is your next step. Now, again, it is the hardest step because a lot of times you think, well, I don't know what to do now, or I'm not sure what actions I would take. And then the other thing is you might have to take some actions that are really scary, or that seem like, well, I don't know if I want to do that, because if I do that, then what happens if it doesn't work? And then I made that, I did this thing and I shouldn't have done it because it didn't work out. So it is scary, but that's also the point of the whole process, which is if you actually want to manifest something and you want to bring it into your reality, you have to be willing to do what it takes. And sometimes what it takes is things that are scary. So for us that day, this is what it looked like. So we made the decision, we asked, and then I said to him, okay, now we have to spend, and I said, we have to spend the rest of the day, and maybe even the days after, but the rest of the day today, we have to spend it acting as if our Texas trip is a done deal. Meaning we're going to pretend like we are going for sure. We have everything we need to go. Everything has been figured out and we don't have to worry about it. We're just going. That's it. That's the decision. And that's what's going to happen. Now, of course, I said, we didn't have the money. We didn't have any plans yet. We just made that decision. So I said, we have to act as if. And he said, okay. And I was like, if we were acting as if, what's the first thing we would do? And he said, well, we would probably pack. So I was like, okay. So we both got up, grabbed our suitcases, started packing, trying to figure out what we'd wear, what we're going to bring with us, putting our stuff in our suitcases. Now, we don't normally like to pack for a trip that early because our dog freaks out a little bit when he sees us packing bags. But we just knew that if we didn't pack, we would be sending a very strong message out to the universe that says, we don't believe this trip is really happening. And so we just said, the dog will be fine. We'll figure it out. And we started packing. So we packed our bags. We packed his bag. We got everything ready to go, piled up in our bedroom. Okay, we packed. And then the next thing, okay, well, what would we do now? And he was like, well, we probably need to get the car fixed because we knew that there was an issue with our car, that we couldn't have driven it across country if we didn't fix it. So, and I don't remember what the issue was. It wasn't anything major. It was just like something we've been putting off because we didn't want to spend the money. And so he's like, we would have to fix the car because that's our mode of transportation to get down there. And so I was like, okay, call the car place, see if you can drop it off today, and see if they can fix it this afternoon. So luckily we had a friend who has a garage in New York, so we called and he was available to get us in that day. So Joe drove it over there, sat there, waited for them to check out what's wrong with it and tell us what the cost was going to be. In the meantime, while he did that, I spent the rest of the next hour calling all of the places that we had appointments set up for the rest of the week. So we had a dinner reservation at the Melting Pot for New Year's Eve. We had a couple of doctor's appointments that we had set up that were happening later in the week. So I called and canceled all that stuff. So here's one of the things that is scary, because it's like, well, okay, you cancel your appointment, you cancel your reservation. What happens if it doesn't happen? What happens if you don't end up being able to go to Texas? You just canceled all your appointments. You canceled your reservation. You're not going to be able to get them back now. But that's the risk you have to be willing to take. To me, that was a very minor risk. I'm like, no big deal. I can always make new appointments. But I know for some people, that's a big deal. It's like, well, it took me months to get into this doctor. And if I cancel the appointment now, it might be another few months before I can get in again. And that's really scary. And so, yeah, it is a risk. But it's a risk you have to take because you're in the process of acting as if what you want is already true. And so you have to just do whatever you would actually do if it was actually true. So for us, if we knew we were going to Texas, we wouldn't be able to be there for our appointments because obviously we wouldn't be in town. So I canceled everything. It was just, we'll do it. It's no big deal. We cancel it. So that's what I did. And then he sent me a text message and he said, hey, they just checked the car out. It's going to cost about $250 to fix it. Now, at the time, like I said, we didn't have any money. We didn't have any money saved up. I didn't have any excess cash to use to fix the car. But again, we just knew we have to act as if. And so I said to him, all right, go negative in your bank account, like just put it on your bank account, because we are lucky to have a bank account where you can go negative up to $500 and then, just replace it and you don't get any fees as long as you pay it back because you have the overdraft. So I was like, you know what, just pay it with the overdraft. It's going to be fine. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out. And so he was like, all right, I'll do it, like, whatever. So again, another really scary step, because you tell yourself, like, what if I spend that money and then the money that I need to do the trip doesn't come in? How am I going to replace that money that I spent? What if I didn't actually need to fix the car because I'm not actually driving it anywhere? But again, this is acting as if. And if we were going to Texas and we knew that 100% certain, we would get our car fixed. We would do whatever we had to do to fix the car. And so that's what he did. He got the car fixed, paid for it on his, overdraft on his card. So in the meantime, I continued doing things that we would do if it was already true. So just little things around the house, like, shutting things down that I normally would have running all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're leaving, I need to start winding this stuff down. Take the laundry out, make sure everything's empty, the dishwasher's emptied, just do all the little things you can think of. And it was really a moment-to-moment process for me where I was just asking myself, what would I do next? What would I do next? And then as I got the answer, I would just go do that thing. So, I would empty the dishwasher because we wouldn't want to leave dishes in the sink, so we'd have to do the dishes. Okay, so I'm going to go do the dishes. So as I do that, I do it. Then I'm done and I say, okay, what's the next step? What would I do next if it was true that we were definitely going to Texas? So all of this took place within a 3-hour window. And then, and this is the craziest and most amazing thing ever, and this is why I love to share this story, is within those 3 hours, I got $2,500 sent to me in PayPal from a person who I had talked to months before. So I had talked to this guy months before, and he was interested in working with me on his book, but he was sort of on the fence, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to invest the money, and he just, he was on the fence. So I talked to him, but it was months ago, and I had no idea that he was in to actually work with me. But in that 3-hour window of us deciding we were going to go to Texas and then taking the act as if actions, that person decided he wanted to work with me. He paid an invoice that I had sent him months ago that I honestly had totally forgot about. Didn't even think, because, he hadn't paid it back then, that I didn't even wonder if he was even gonna. I just never thought about it again. And the money just came through. So I got this text message from PayPal, and it was like, hey, you have money in your account. And I was like, what? And it said $2,500. And I was like, holy shit, we did it. So I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to my husband. I was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what just happened. This money just showed up. This guy who decided he wanted to work with me paid the invoice from months ago, and we've got the money we need for Texas now. And not only that, but we had the money to replace the money to fix the car that he had gone into overdraft on. So it was crazy, and nothing at that point had ever happened to me like that, especially related to money. But because I had so powerfully taken the actions, and especially the ones that were scarier to take, because again, we didn't know if he was going to be able to replace the overdraft. We didn't know if the appointments were actually needing to be canceled, but we just did it intending that we're going to Texas and we're going to make this happen somehow. So that was how I made it happen, and that was how that money showed up for me, and it was totally amazing. Now, there's a million ways that could have happened. That was probably just the fastest and easiest way for the universe to bring us what we needed. But, you just never know what's going to happen, so you have to just take every action you can think of, be willing to take the action. So if you get the idea, it's an inspired action, so go take it. And the more you do that, the more you'll get other actions to take, and eventually it will lead you to the how of how you're going to get the thing that you're asking for. So for us, it was manifesting money. Now, I didn't ask for $2,500. We could have gotten to Texas on less than that. We've gotten to Texas from New York under, $600 before. So it's not like we had to have that much money. It's just that's what showed up as the, effect of us acting so powerfully, believing so powerfully that this was going to happen for us. And so that's the 3 steps, very simplified 3 steps of the manifestation process, which is decide, ask, and then act as if. Now, there are other pieces to all of this process. That was just how it happened that day for me. But I have a full-blown process that I use now when I'm manifesting stuff, and I'm really, really excited to teach this process to you. So I'm running a workshop that starts on February 19th. It's called the Manifestation Experiment, and I'm going to be showing you my exact process. So it's much more detailed than what I've explained here, but this is sort of the general version of it. But I'm actually going to be explaining the much more specific process for you. And not only that, but you're actually going to be experimenting on it. So you're going to come up with one specific thing that you want to manifest over the 30-day workshop. And then we're going to have complete and total focus on that one thing. And everything you do in the workshop is going to be tied into manifesting that thing. And so we're going to actually practice. It's going to be an experiment, because you never know what's going to happen and you never know what you're going to have to do to get there. But it's just, let's see what happens. Let's have some fun. Let's experiment. And so the manifestation experiment is officially on. We've already got almost 20 people signed up, which I'm really freaking pumped about. And it's going to be awesome. So if you want to manifest money, or, you know, whatever you dream of having, it could be anything, then check out this workshop, because it is going to be amazing, and it is going to be the thing that gives you a process that you can actually not only learn, but actually go through and implement over the 30 days, so that you've practiced it over and over again, and then you'll get better and better at it. So now I'm much better at doing the act as if thing when I know I'm manifesting something, because I had that process back in December of 2014, where I knew this is what has to happen to get us the money that we need for our trip. So I hope this inspired you. I hope that it helped you to see what's possible when you just get out of your own way and you trust, and total trust in the universe and in yourself, to know you're making the right decisions and you're taking the right actions. So if this inspired you, I would love for you to share it with other people so that they can also get inspired. And I would love to hear from you if you enjoyed this, or if you have any questions. So just hit me up in the comments of the video. I know a lot of you are going to watch this as a replay, so I'll be sure to come back and check the comments later. And if you want to join us for the manifestation experiment, I would love for you to be there. Go to dreamliferbust.com/manifestation experiment to sign up. I made the workshop insanely affordable, because I honestly believe that we should all know not only how to manifest the things that we want, but that we should all trust ourselves more, and we should all trust the universe more. And I want to show you how to do that. So I've made it really affordable. Anybody who wants to be part of this workshop can join, and I hope to see you inside. dreamliferbust.com/the manifestation experiment. Oh, excuse me, manifestation experiment. I'm going to put it in the comments. Let's see. dreamliferbust.com/manifestation experiment. Cool. All right, guys, so that's it for me, and I will be back later this week with more videos, I'm sure, because I have lots of other cool little manifestation short stories to share with you. So yeah, I will catch you next time.